Greetings, my saplings. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Off-White Converse, or you could say the Off-White Chuck Taylor, whatever you want to call it. This is an Off-White and Nike collaboration. More specifically in today's video, we are going to be mentioning some release info for the shoes, how to cop them, some resale predictions, and at the very end of today's video, because I'm always trying to keep you guys 100% updated, I did want to give you guys all the websites that are going to be getting the ochre yellow Jordan 1s and the track red Jordan 1s in Europe. However, if you're anywhere in the world, you can actually purchase from most of these sites. I'll be giving you the times and all that, so if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around to the end of the video. But for the rest of you who only care about the Off-White Converse, today we'll just be mentioning how to cop them, some resale predictions, and why don't we just get right into the release info right now. So to kick it off, these were initially going to release with the 10, because this is a part of the 10 in the Nike and Off-White collaboration, in November of 2017. However, they did not release. Now we are going to be getting them in May of 2018. The retail on these shoes should be around $130, but it should float around there. It might fluctuate a little depending on what stores are getting them. I also wanted to mention, do not expect these to be as easy to get, and I'm saying as easy because it wasn't even easy to get those, but these definitely are going to be harder to get than the Vapor Maxes that we just saw release, or any of the new Off-White new versions of the original 10 that released. Those had a lot more stock. Now this was part of the original 10. This is going to be very, very difficult to get. I just felt like I'd mention that, and we'll talk more about that in the resale predictions a little later. But of course, you guys are wondering, okay, Keith, what are the dates for this shoe? Well, unfortunately, the information is so scarce that we don't have exact dates as of now, but we basically do. So on May 10th, there's supposed to be an exclusive release. And then comes May 12th, there's supposed to be more of a general release. Well, I don't want to say a general release because it's still a very extremely limited shoe. But with these two release dates in mind, why don't we talk about now how to cop the shoe? Okay, so like I said, guys, the information is very scarce as of me making this video now, and I'm making this video just to give you all the information I have, but I do advocate that you turn on post notifications and obviously subscribe, so later in this week when I get all that new information, all the other websites that are getting them, all the confirmed links or raffles or whatever it is, I'll make that video. So definitely turn on notifications and subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But right now, let's talk about the information we do have. So first of all, on May 10th, the exclusive release is only supposed to include CONVERSE.com and OffWhite.com. Now, for both of these websites, you should not expect any queues, which means it's just simply going to be a first come, first serve. Also, you have to keep in mind that these two websites are not used to a lot of traffic, similar to how Adidas.com is used to a lot of traffic, or even Nike, like the Nike sneakers app and website is definitely used to traffic. You could definitely expect both of these sites to crash. More importantly, you could also expect that a lot of the bots are going to be taking W's, but that should not stop you from trying. And I can assure you, it is possible, but you have to keep some of these tips in mind. For instance, some tips would include, right before they release, instead of refreshing with the little refresh button up there, I want you to use Command R, or on Windows it would actually be F5. The reason I say this is so you could keep your mouse hovering over the size selection, just because it might save you a second or so, and that second really might be the difference between getting the shoe and not. In addition, you also want to make sure that you have autofill set up. No, you don't need an extension. All you got to do is use Google Chrome, go into the settings, and set it up there. Now, you guys might be wondering, okay, say these do release on Off-White and Converse on May 10th. What are the times going to be like? What time should I expect these to release? Well, unfortunately, there are no confirmed times, but of course, I'm going to keep you updated on all this information. If not on YouTube, say I can't make that video, definitely feel free to follow my Twitter for smaller updates, which is KeithAdam10. So obviously, no, times aren't confirmed. In fact, this isn't really 100% confirmed. Like, Off-White and Converse hasn't officially made a statement saying that they're going to be coming out on May 10th exclusively on these websites, because instead of a website release, what they might do is similar to what Off-White did last time with the initial 10. They might do that raffle where they email you if you won or lost, and you got a chance to sign up for everything, and if you won, you would have to pick them up. there's definitely a possibility where they could do that. So I'm just trying to say, keep your eyes open for updates. Now, comes May 12th, some things that you should expect. For instance, if they don't happen to do that online release on May 10th, definitely expect it to happen on May 12th, guys. So obviously you will have Converse and Off-White releasing them there. And in addition to these sites, there should be a lot of other sites getting them. And for these, there might be some extra raffles you could join. There might be a ton of first come first serves at like 3 a.m. Eastern time. Some of those sites that usually get hyped shoes. As of now, another thing that we do know is that Nike sneakers should be getting these. Now, some of you guys are saying, oh, Keith, this isn't a Nike shoe. Well, actually, Nike does own Converse, so you can expect these to drop on Nike sneakers. Not only that, but if you were concerned that they wouldn't drop on Nike sneakers because they're Converse, we just saw a Converse shoe drop on Nike sneakers a couple of days ago. So I can assure you that there is a very high likelihood that they will drop on Nike sneakers, and if they don't drop on Nike sneakers, it has nothing to do with the fact that they're Converse. Now, here's the dilemma we have. We don't know if it's going to be first come first serve or a draw. Now, a lot of you guys are saying right away it's going to be a draw because the last few Off-White shoes were a draw. So that makes sense. However, the first few 10 that released, or I'm sorry, the first 9 that released, those were not draws, people. Those were first come first served. So if I'm being honest, since this isn't a whole bunch of shoes releasing, I'm still going to have to lean towards the side of this being a draw. However, I'm going to have to say that you should also expect it to be a first come first serve. So for that, I'm going to just have to say be prepared. And if you really want to know, here's how you can find out. When they eventually put these up on Nike sneakers, which for the Off-White and Nike collaboration shoes is really, really late, like very close to the release date, all you got to do is use the application. It cannot be on the website, but on the app, go to the top left corner, and if it says draw opens at 10 a.m. Eastern time, you know it's going to be a draw. And if it doesn't say that, it's going to be a first come first serve. Simple as that. But speaking hypothetically, let's go over what we need to right now. Most of my subscribers should know this, but if you're new, first of all, make sure to subscribe. More importantly, though, listen to these tips, and if you already know these tips, hey, just think of it as a refresher, alright? So first of all, hypothetically, if it is a first come first serve release, you're going to want to make sure your address is filled in on your account. Make sure you also check that box so you select it as your default address so it fills it in automatically. Also, make sure your size is selected in your settings. If you want to only resell the shoe, you want to select sizes 10 or 10.5 because there's around the same demand in those sizes, but there's also a lot more stock. So obviously, you won't make as much profit, but when it comes to a shoe like this, you're going to make profit no matter what size it is. So I would say go conservative, even though you'll make less money. It's better to make less money than no money at all. Or, of course, select your size if you plan on rocking the shoe. Next up, of course, you want to make sure that your payment info is filled in. I suggest using PayPal, but if you like credit card, that is fine too. I've had no trouble with either. Also, I do advocate now that you don't actually use Apple Pay. It's actually been working for me. However, a lot of you guys were telling me that it's not working. I also wanted to mention, even for a first come first serve release, feel free to use multiple accounts because some sizes will sell out faster than others. So maybe on one account you go for a 10, another go for a 10.5, and so on and so forth. Now, regarding multiple accounts, this will lead me to talk about the draws. What will you do in a draw? You're going to want to have as many entries as possible. So for draws, when making different accounts, you're going to want to make sure you've done all the stuff that I mentioned for the first come first serve releases. However, when you're filling this info in, for instance, for the address, you're going to want to change it up. So for the last word in your address, that might be street or road. You want to try one where you abbreviate it, one where you spell it wrong. The possibilities really are endless because the algorithm won't pick it up considering it's different. But when they ship to you, obviously they know what ST is, it's street, or they know what STRETE is, they just know you spelled it wrong. In addition to doing that, you cannot do this next method if you live in an apartment building, but if you live in a house, definitely feel free to do this. When you see the second line for your address, definitely put in a 1A for one account, for another account put in a 1B. Therefore, the algorithm thinks it has different addresses because people obviously live in apartments in the real world. In addition to that, I'm going to suggest that you use different payment methods if it's possible. However, if it's not possible and you only have 2 payment methods, here's something I would suggest. For one payment method, only make it for one account only, and then for your 10 other accounts, use that other payment method. I would not say go half and half. Also, if you want to, feel free to add a random name, but I don't think that they track your name. Also, guys, when you're setting up all these different accounts, you need to have different phone numbers. For this, all you got to do is have a friend send over a verification code and you use their number. It's simple as that. Also, you want to use different email addresses. Now, I previously recommended for Nike sneakers in the past, you could use the +1+2 jig where you just add a +1 before the @gmail.com. I'm actually recommending that you don't do this, and now this is only for Nike sneakers. Feel free to use that jig on many other raffles. Just for Nike sneakers, though, I am recommending that you do use legitimate emails. And of course, for any other updates, turn on notifications and subscribe. Sorry guys, just one last thing that I remembered while I was editing. Make sure your IP addresses are different. For this, you can use mobile devices all on LTE, so they have different gateways. Or you could simply download a VPN and change it every time you enter into a draw. Now, moving on to resale predictions. I think this one is pretty obvious. Are they going to sell out? Yes, obviously. Are they going to have resale value? Obviously, because this is a shoe that is in high demand. If you're not familiar with any Off-White and Nike collaborations, if you're new to the game, just trust me on this, guys. The profit on these shoes is going to be insane with high demand and very, very low stock, like I mentioned before. This is lower stock than what we've seen with those Vapor Maxes that just released. So if you're wondering, like, how much money could you possibly get from these after selling them, I don't know, maybe $600 to $900. But guys, it does not matter. These prices could be completely off, but you just have to know you can profit, especially with a low retail price that will only be around $130. One last thing I wanted to mention for resale, if you don't plan on wearing this shoe, which honestly, I probably won't wear this shoe. I want to sell it so I could afford one of the other Off-White shoes because I really do like Virgil Abloh's work. I'm just really not a fan of the way Converse looks aesthetically. But the last thing I wanted to mention, if you were selling these shoes, hold them. All of the 10 that released initially were going for half as much as they were now. So for those original 10, any of those, I would still say hold those as long as you can. But definitely for these, don't sell them right after the release. Definitely hold them for at least 6 months. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the Track Red and the Yellow Ochre Jordan 1s. So unfortunately for all the raffles, those did end. I made videos on that in the past. Hopefully all my subscribers were able to cop some of them from the raffles. But coming May 9th at 3 a.m. Eastern Time for the Track Reds and the Yellow Ochres. Now there's only one difference for the Track Reds. Track Reds are also going to be on 43 and Hob. But for both of these shoes, you can see these on a Few Store, BSTN, Sneak Avenue, Asphalt Gold, and these will all be first come first serve releases. Now for a Q release, feel free to check out Soulbox. They will be doing a Q, so you could use the multiple people jig on there. And now for some Europe releases only, so shout out to all you guys who are living in Europe. You guys are going to have the opportunity to purchase them from Foot Locker as well as Foot Locker Nike Sneakers EU. So with that, that will conclude today's video. Good luck on these releases, obviously. I'll keep you guys updated, so feel free to turn on post notifications and subscribe. With that, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, if you perhaps learned something. But have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later.
Get your foot off my foot.